All right, so for everyone who's gotten on this meeting, that's great. We appreciate it. Um, this is the first time I think we've had an online recruiting. No, I think did we do this last year, Rich? I'm not really sure if we did this last year or not.
We did a quick one early, I think, but
Yeah,
I think the plan is to probably do a couple more of these this year.
yeah. We just want to kind of get everybody acclimated to the recruiting process. For the 14 U's, it's going to be more just beginning stages. And then for the 16s, it's obviously more of the advanced stages. But it's important. I'm just going to just kind of go into just we have a couple of our college girls here. Great Grace Forgash, who was one of four of Rich's girls from this year who committed. She recently signed with Cleveland State University, a Division I school. She's been a part of the program for a couple of years. Really solid player, hard worker. I wanted her to get on. We wanted her to get on to just kind of go over like some of the process with the girls, like to make it real. For somebody who's actually kind of been there and done that. So we brought her on and we'll have her talking pretty soon. So basically, for the 14s, pretty much, I mean, and obviously, some of you have no idea of where you want to go to school, and you don't really have to know like what your major is going to be at this age, but you definitely want to start thinking about like it's a tough world, so start thinking about what you might want to go into, especially like if you're going to play softball, if that's your goal. You'll want to start thinking about. I always tell everybody on the baseball side, when I was a baseball coach for years, like you want to pick a school for one to get your education first, and then the school that you can play for as early as you can. But you want to pick a school that if, like, say, baseball or softball didn't work out for you, that you wouldn't feel like you'd have to transfer out of there. Like, because you kind of go there for the dual purpose. Number one, the education piece. So if the softball thing didn't work out, you would stay there to get your degree and then go out into the real world. So that's important. But really what it comes down to, and Grace will be talking about this a little bit, is it really just comes down to like if you want to play softball or if you want to get good grades, get good jobs. It comes down to the habits that you create when you're at your youngest ages, and for a lot of this, falls on parents and how they bring up their kids, and I'm sure everybody in this program brings up their kids the right way. It's definitely a different world from from the '80s when I was brought up. Things were seem to be way more hardcore than they are in today's world. On the parenting side, and not for everybody, but a lot, and I see it a lot. Just in just my instruction, the teams I've coached. A lot of times, there are challenges for us as coaches because a lot of the things that we'll try to instill aren't necessarily always being instilled at home. But as far as it comes down to, just comes down to the habits and the consistency of your being able to create goals, create an action plan, and then day by day putting that plan into progress so that you get to your end goal, which is to play college softball if that's what you want to do. I'm thinking that everybody who's on this meeting wants to do that. If some of you are on this meeting and you're not sure, hopefully when everybody has had their say here today, you'll want to do that. Really, getting into just a little bit of like the social media with the younger girls, with the 14s, Twitter or X now. Is really it's the softball hub. Like it's even more than the Instagram thing. Like I personally would recommend if parents are kind of hesitant about letting your girl get on Twitter or X, I would say monitor it. But it's really kind of where it starts. I'm a big advocate of you guys posting your content, just your practice times, you put together videos in your games, and you at all the schools that you would like to go to, and every once in a while, these college coaches, they go through even with 14s, and somebody catches their eye and they save it, and then and next thing you know it, you're getting letters and things like to go to camps or just sparks of interest. So getting on that social media stuff early at 14 is in my opinion is a good idea. to get that whole process started and just kind of staying active in your recruiting process. As a 25-year coach, I always told all my players, I will advocate for you and help you in your recruiting process if you are willing to advocate for yourself and be actively involved in your recruiting process. It's not just about the coaches calling other coaches. It's about you getting yourself out there and learning how to actually interact with adults, like approach coaches, when you see them at games and introduce yourself. Good eye contact, emails. We'll talk about content and emails. I have examples that I'll be sending to everybody, with different girls that I have had that have played in college, and some of their letters in their early stages and even in their advanced stages. Sometimes just in reminding a coach on a weekend tournament, like say out in Berliner, that you'll be there. Here's your schedule, and here's some videos of your your recent game clips and things like that. Those things, staying active and being diligent with it. It gets frustrating because I had a girl. Her name is Allie Chinchar, and she plays at MIT right now. She sent out 2,500 emails in a 2-year span. 2,500, no exaggeration. I got all the blind copies on every one of those. Every one of those, or 90% of those, had video clips on them. And I will tell you that you're going to be more likely to have a coach look at your content if you have a video attached, because they get so many emails. And she got that one hit from MIT. They say they ended up seeing her come down to see her play in a tournament, and she got signed off that one email out of 2,500. She received some interest. A lot of it was camp information, because a lot of these camps are fundraisers. Most of them are fundraisers, but a lot of them do recruit out of that. But a lot of times you'll get a letter, from a school saying, hey, we saw you at this tournament, or we would like you to come out, to our camp, and another 3,000 girls got that just with their name on it. You'll know when it's personalized, because it'll be personalized for you. But again, like in order to make that happen for yourself, you have to be active in that process. That's when coaches like Rich and Javi, at 16, they see who you're emailing, then they could reach out. I would have my players blind copy me on their emails to coaches, and then I would follow back up with those saying, hey, coach, I have this player, feel it should be a good fit for your program. You might want to take a look at her. Please feel free to call me at this number, if you want to have a further discussion. And, you get some hits, you get some, some ignoring. I tell everybody too, like, keep emailing these schools. Don't be shy on it. Like, even if it's like every other week, just a reminder, hey, coach, just following up with an email I sent 2 weeks ago with my video. I'm interested in your school. Sometimes, you may end up sending those 30, 40 times. But be diligent with it. It gets frustrating sometimes, but just keep doing it. Do not email coaches of schools that you're not interested in going to. Like, that's a big thing. Like, you don't want to just do it just to put out 100 emails, but you have no you have no intention of going to 50 of them just for the attention. And I've seen that happen. Make sure that you're emailing schools that you want to go to. And if you end up like not wanting to go to that school, and a college does reach out to you, please respond back. Like, don't just ignore them, because that's a reflection on yourself and our organization. Like, these coaches trust our coaches, and a lot of credibility goes by just things that come out of like our organization and our players. So make sure that if you get a follow-up email and you've already picked a school, just at least email back and just say, hey coach, I appreciate you reaching out. I've committed to this school, something to that sort. Last thing before I hand this over to another coach is just how you carry yourselves. Like, number one, in your practices, like that, like the biggest thing is you want to make sure that you're going there to get better, and not just go through the process. Like, I've seen even in some of this in our own program, just very lazy intentions in some of the practices. And I know sometimes 8 o'clock in the morning practices do suck, but you got to get up and go. I'm 59 years old, and I do 6 o'clock lessons in the morning every day. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. The body language thing is a big thing. Like, you go to a game or a tournament, and a lot of these coaches are watching in regular clothes. They're not watching in their college uniforms, and they want to see you get out of a car and how you walk up. Is your shirt untucked? Are you dragging ass going into the field? Do you wait around for the coaches to tell you what to do? Like, you should have your own routines, have a plan, be ready. Like, do something to stick out in somebody's mind, a coach's mind. And those are the things. It comes back to the habits that I talked about earlier. Your body language, hustling on and off the field. They look in the dugout to see what kind of a teammate you are after you struck out. Do you go back and throw your bat down and pout, or do you get right back on the fence and cheer on the next teammate, or walk up to the girl who just got done batting and tell her, hey, she's throwing low and inside, like, just kind of getting over yourself a little bit, getting back into the team. Those are the big things that coaches want. Good teammates. They want good body language. Players who can deal with adversity, kind of flip the switch quickly and get back on track to not take the last at bat into the field. And again, our great parents, I'm sure, instill this into their kids. But it is important for us as coaches to continue to remind, players that everything that you do, somebody's watching. And for at the end of the day, it shouldn't even really be about that. You should just be more concerned with how you carry, your name. Like the name on the front of the shirt for the organization is more important than the name on the back. But the name on the back represents your family, your parents, and your grandparents. So make sure you wear that with pride. Okay. So with that on my end, Coach Rich, I'm going to kind of let you jump in and just talk about something that you want to talk about.
Okay. For those of you that don't know me, I think probably most of you do on here, but Rich Butoff, I coach the 16U Gold Team, and kind of carry the label of recruiting coordinator with the organization. I think Bob covered a lot of what I kind of had down, honestly. I'll kind of piggyback on some of it, but just we had a little sheet with some bullet points that we wanted to kind of cover. And I think, at the 14U level, for those of you that are 14U, that's kind of the start of it. I mean, you're not going to be in it as deep as the 16Us are. But from the early beginning stages of it, you do want to start getting your name out there, start getting on coach's radar. I think from a camp perspective, it's probably minimal at 14U. If there's some local camps that you don't want to dump a ton of money into camps at 14U. But if there's some that, if there's schools that you have interest in, you may want to jump in one of those if it's an affordable camp. Just like I said, to get on the coach's radar a little bit, just so they can kind of start watching. They will make notes. I mean, even though they can't talk to you, when you're 14U, they'll definitely make a note if they see something they like, and they'll make sure they'll follow up when you get up to 16U, and be able to follow you then. As far as emails go, I think kind of the same thing. It's okay to email at 14U. They're not going to respond. But I think especially emails to where, if you want them to come out and watch you play, even though they don't respond, they'll still, if you're sending video in your emails, which I think at 14U, that's probably when you start doing it. At the 16U level, I think a lot more video in the emails is good. And same with social media. I mean, I think, like Bob said, as parents, I think we're a little skeptical sometimes of social media, but it is a very important tool. And I've had college coaches tell me that they recruit off Twitter or X. So, I definitely monitor it. I mean, we obviously want our kids putting the right stuff on there. I feel like all the kids in our program, are doing the right things with that. Now, if you're not, I mean, that can hurt you too. Social media can definitely hurt you. If you're putting stuff on there that shouldn't be on there, or because believe me, if they're looking on there, they're seeing everything. So just make sure, you're putting stuff on there that needs to be on there. So 16U, I think then it ramps up a little bit as far as camps go. You should really kind of start narrowing down some schools. And those are the camps you want to go to. I mean, there's a couple good ones. I think there's one at Kent State where there's a bunch of schools that are there, which is good. But I think you start narrowing it down at that point to where, the schools that you want to go to are the camps that you should really be attending. I would say at the 16U level, then you were probably emailing on pretty much a weekly basis, with video, always with video. Make your emails once you get that initial connection though with a college coach. You don't have to, go through the whole thing like, hey, this is so and so. I play this position, blah blah blah. Okay, once they know you already, it should be a little more of a personal thing. Like they want to even kind of get to know you to where you talk a little bit more about stuff other than softball. Sometimes they want to kind of know what how you are as just as a person, stuff like that. So the emails should get a little more personal at that point if they're very interested in adding you to their program. Um, there are some recruiting sites. Field Level is a pretty good one that we seem to use. There's a bunch of others. College Bound Jocks. I would say I'm not opposed to any of them. I wouldn't say dump a whole ton of money in it. I mean, if you're building connections and we're emailing and they're seeing video, there's definitely you don't have to be on one of those to get recruited, I guess is what I'm saying. But it's just another tool. I mean, if you have the money, available to get on stuff like that, it's not a bad thing. It's just going to kind of build more connections with college coaches. But like I said, to me, I mean, you'll see if you go on our Twitter page or X page for our team, we post a lot. And, anytime one of our girls posts, I'm always reposting it, commenting on it, just because, we do have a lot of college coaches that follow our Twitter account now. We're connected with a lot of coaches. So, just by me like commenting on it, then it just kind of spreads. It just everything kind of spider webs out, and it gets out to more connections even. So especially videos. And then I think so. As far as once you get to 16U, I think the college wish list is big. So we really do have to start narrowing it down at that point. We should have probably a list of at least say 5 schools that you're very interested in. And it's okay to have some schools that maybe are just kind of a dream school. We don't know. We don't know initially how it's going to work out, but then definitely have a couple schools that are very realistic. Honestly, the girls in our program can all play softball. So if you want to play, there's definitely a level for you. It's just a matter of finding that right fit. And kind of like what Bob was saying, pick a school that you would want to go to school there. Like if softball wouldn't work out, that's somewhere you'd want to be. Also, really do your homework. When you're looking at programs that you could be interested in softball wise. Go to some of their games in the fall or whatever. Go out there and see. Know how many girls are on the team, what kind of roster they carry. If it's a really big roster, everybody wants to play. I mean, if you're going to play at that level, you want to play. So you start getting some really big rosters where there's 25 to 30 girls. Like that can be tough. Depending on where you're at in that mix. But yeah, definitely do your homework on the school. Do your homework on the coaches. I mean, you may just go out to a game and be like, I don't like that coach's style. I mean, that coach is a yeller, whatever. I mean, obviously, all coaches are gonna at that level. They're gonna be tough on you at times. So you got to have thick skin and be ready for that. But if it's just a style that you don't care for at all, why would you want to even try to go to that program? And then I think the last thing, and this is definitely piggybacking a little bit on what Bob was saying, but email schools and contact schools that you definitely are interested in. Don't get into where we're just throwing out emails to a blanket schools, and then like you said, when they contact you, if they're interested in you, and then you don't show them any interest back, they're kind of like, well, why'd you even email me then? So and then it kind of looks like, like Bob said, it kind of, as far as the program or the coach's accountability, they're like, well, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you emailing us if, you don't even have any interest in us? So just make sure you're emailing schools that you definitely have interest in as well. I don't know. I'm sure there'll be some questions, but I think that's about all I have for right now. If anything else pops up, just feel free to ask.
What I would recommend too is when you start looking at schools for your education, you go to their websites. Have spread a wide net. If your goal is to play D1, you can have that dream, but also be realistic. And you can ask us coaches like where we're at. Like I would never tell a player you can't do something. I would tell them if I looked at where you're at now that if you didn't drastically improve, you may not be a D1 player. No shame in that. But I will never tell anyone you can't. But I will say this, I have seen many players and parents get so hooked up into this D1, got to go D1, got to go D1. And then they end up getting a preferred walk on and they ended up quitting before the fall was over because they got drowned out. You want to pick a school that you will have a chance to play at as early as possible, in my humble opinion. Now we got the portal, and the portal's making it way more difficult for high school girls because coaches are going after players who already have experience. It's a very small field already with softball, but it's getting even more and more difficult because there's thousands of players in the transfer portal, and a lot of it is just in this day and age, if you're not happy with where you're playing, I'm going to the transfer portal. If you don't like something, I'm going to the transfer portal. It's kind of like now, so many players just quitting their teams. To me, I couldn't even fathom that. I would never been allowed to quit a team unless a coach was doing something illegal. But in today's world, it makes it more difficult. So you want to make sure you build that relationship with the coach. You see what type of the players they have and see their track record and how they recruit. You look at you go to rosters on the websites of schools that you are thinking about going to and take a look at where they're going to be recruited. You can tell if they have 2 senior catchers or 2 junior catchers and you're a sophomore, where you might land and what they might be looking for. If you do all your homework, it makes it easier to, at the end of it all, to make a good decision that you won't end up regretting. Okay. So those are just a lot of different things, and we as coaches can help walk you through that. But spread your net wide. You have your reality schools, have your stretch schools, meaning schools that you're borderline. You're not sure if you could play there, but you'd like to if you could, and you have 2 years to develop. Then put a couple schools on there that that may be very bottom end, but if you didn't have any other choices, you'd still want to get an education there and possibly play. So just the wider your net, the better chances that you have to just sift out. At the end of the day, it would be great to have 5 schools on you and you're stressing about, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And you want to have that. You want to be able to go back to a school and say, when they're trying to recruit you, I gotten this much from that school or this academic aid from that school, and you can barter in a humble way that way, but you want to have those choices at the end if possible. But if you only have one, God bless you, because less than 7% of players are going to even get a chance to play at the college level. Probably 1% at the D1 level. So with that, I'm going to give it over to Kelly, and then I'm going to give it over to Grace, and Grace is going to kind of talk about her process a little bit. So Kelly.
All right, I will piggyback on theirs quickly. I agree with the spreading of the net wide, and also think strategically. Bob brought a good point up with the portal. I know a lot of D1 teams that are bringing in a lot of JUCO players, a lot of players that have played D2, a lot of players that have played D3. So it's okay to be strategic in what you do. If you want D1, you're like, man, I want D1. It's okay to think strategically. So like Bob said, pick some other schools, pick some schools that are going to give you money, pick some schools that are going to give you opportunity to play, and then get to that goal. There's nothing wrong with thinking flexibly like that. And then the other thing I want to touch on is the social media thing. And I've been told this by college coaches. Now, maybe not every single one, but I've been told this by a lot. They will check you off their list, if your social media accounts are not squeaky clean. So moms and dads, that means even things they're liking. So somebody else has a curse word in a song, they saw a meme and it's funny, whatever, and they liked it. That could take them off the list. Like it has to be like grandma, like pastor, priest, clean. Like it's got to be squeaky clean. So that's just something to see people laughing. Do you have naughty social media? Just kidding. So just keep that in mind when I think it is important for parents to definitely help with the social media. I think and also parents, they could be looking at your social media too. So I'm going to be honest, they look at the whole family. Nobody wants to invest in kids that, are not going to be able to represent their university well, if that makes sense. I think the emails are huge. I think after tonight, we'll probably put up some good examples for you on our page, or on that like little that thread we all have together.
I sent a bunch in the chat right now too, Coach.
Perfect. Okay, that's perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. I will also send in the chat too. I was waiting. There is like Rich was saying, there are some recruiting services. Now there's a recruiting service. I'm not endorsing them, or you don't need to use them. But what I do like is you can get on their site for free and they'll generate all the Ohio schools for you. So I'll add that. Again, I do not endorse that service. I don't think if you choose that, I don't know anything about to endorse a service, but I do like that they will list all of the Ohio schools with softball programs. So I'll throw that in there a little bit later too. So you guys can kind of like access that if you need it. And if you have any questions along the way, please reach out, throw a question in that chat for us and someone can get back to you. If you have a specific question for an older person or older girl that's, done it, we've got access to players who've played and graduated. We've got access to players that are playing now, and it can be a hard road. So, don't hesitate to reach out and ask for help.
Yeah, when I met the chat, I sent some emails in this team reach here, Microsoft Teams here. Like if you look at the chat, I think I attached 4 different emails in there, but I could also put them in, put them in the group chat that we have like on Team Reach. So
let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah,
let's
100%
put them in there.
will.
So
Yep.
They're there.
Yeah, but I've had some questions already on this, so I've answered, so it's good. Grace, you still
okay? I kind of jotted down a lot while you guys were talking because I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this process. So and it's pretty recent, so I know a lot of what's going on now. So just the first thing I put down, I think what really helped me, I did do a recruiting service. I went through College Bound Jocks, and I actually pulled up the cool, I can't switch it around. So when I want to talk about the emails, this is my first email to Coach Pond, who is the assistant at Cleveland State, who I got recruited through. So this is my profile. This service was pretty expensive, but again, if you're for sure, I think their rate was 98% of their girls get to play at the next level, that they work with. So if you're serious about this, it's a great tool. So here's my recruiting video, and then just some specs about me. And then they have player bio, coaches info, playing schedule, achievements, stats, and contact info. So my family and stuff. Okay. And then my favorite thing about this is when you send your emails, you can see who views them and reads them. See even all these, it says college coach views, that's how many viewed my video. So this is my emailing list. This is all that I sent out, and it says it says read if they open them, which is nice because with regular email you don't get that, and it's kind of oh, I don't know if they're actually reading my stuff, especially when you're younger and they can't say anything. So that's why I would suggest that. Okay, and then about Twitter, I use Twitter a good amount, I think, and just to put my like highlights from the weekend, like after the weekend, like the Monday after, like in the summer, I would get all my highlights and cut them down and create like a video and put my stats line with it. And yeah, that's good to post on Twitter and tag the coaches that you're interested in talking to, but also like your target schools, once you make a list, send those videos to them, like directly to them. And then I just put how to subject like an email, because like that was like my parents didn't really play sports or anything, so I was kind of going into this like by myself, so like I kind of just had to look all this up. So like my basic thing was my year, my first and last name, position, and then something that makes you stand out, or like your GPA. And then I put like what the subject actually was, like the schedule for the weekend, or if it was a video or anything like that, or if I'd be going to their camp. And in the beginning, I forget who mentioned this, but yeah, this is a hard process, and it definitely forces you to grow and learn how to communicate, and you have to take a lot of responsibility and ownership like of yourself and your stuff. And I'm finding like it seriously put me ahead of my classmates who are now like trying to get into colleges, just like applying without playing softball, because like my stuff's already all figured out because I am. But this kind of leads me to my next point. Like this starts earlier. Like all my people are like, oh, like maybe I want to go to this college or whatever. I don't know, but like I've been researching colleges since like 8th grade because I've known I wanted to do this. So, just having that plan, and like it's kind of more prolonged stress, I guess, rather than like all at once, like right before you're going to college, if like you're not playing. But yeah, just do your research and make sure you have a plan. Like they said, like your reach schools and like your safety schools, kind of. What do I want to talk about next? I guess I'll talk about this. So yeah, you just have to really commit yourself to this. It's so hard mentally and physically. Like again, like I knew I wanted to do this. So like, I think actually once I came to T3, I quit basketball. I didn't play basketball anymore or whatever. I was like, my winter of sophomore year, I like bought in. I was like, okay, like this is it. We're doing this. And then you just have to go hard at it because you get one shot at it. And it's kind of, it feels like a short amount of time. Like it's a lot to get done and a lot to cover in a short amount of time. So with going to camps and stuff, I think that because a lot of them are money grabs, but I feel like it's a good self-evaluation point. So you can like compare yourself to people your age or older than you and younger, and like where kind of get a grasp for like what they're going for, what's their goal. Just kind of compare yourself. I mean, not too much, of course. I mean, you got to focus on your own game, but it's a good like benchmark to see where you are. And my final thing is attitude. This is a lot because like I've always knew this, and I've always like told myself this, like they can find replacements. You need to give them a reason to want you. Like anyone can learn how to field the ball or hit a ball. Like, okay, but it really depends on what type of person, what teammate you are at the end of the day. Because I mean, that'll also translate into your playing style. That's just something I've always prided myself on, and I feel like that is the reason why I've gotten where I am, because I've always had good relationships with my coaches, and that's the type of player that college coaches want, of course. And I think a lot of people, even teammates I've played with, haven't really understood that, but that's a good tip to keep in mind.
Sure.
Yep. And I just need to say, this is one of my pet peeves. Don't just like have this attitude, like whatever, put this facade on when you know college coaches are there. I hate that. You need to be a genuine player, because again, at the end of the day, like the college coaches are going to be talking to your coaches. Like your true colors are going to be shown, you know? And like honestly, in games, like think about them minimally, because the recruiting is really done outside of the games. Like a lot of times, like they can't even talk to you when you're at a tournament. So just focus on the game, focus on your teammates, whatever, focus on the goal at hand, and just let the cards fall where they may. And I think that's it.
For the college bound jocks thing, like we that was a recommendation that I had given to your team when you guys first came over, because I met with those guys, and they definitely like do amazing work. Like their emails system is like second to none. Like when you go on there and it gathers all the information, and when the emails are sent, they give you read receipts from the schools. Like this, you'll know whether or not your emails were read. And they were definitely legit on the email part of it, and you can see how many emails you sent. And the funny thing is, when I was online with those guys, when I met with those guys a couple years back, like they were kind of going through the platform and telling me like just everything about it. And the guy who ran the thing, like he didn't know that Allie Chinchar was like one of the girls that played with Finesse and was on, and he's like going through, hey, let's see, we got this girl here, she's only done 4 emails, we don't, and why she's paying for this service, I don't know, this girl's got 200, this girl's got 300, and then we got this one girl right here, she's got 2,500 emails, and then Brian May's like, isn't that your girl? That's Bob, that's your girl. I'm like, yeah, it was Allie, like, and everybody was like, it all, like, she had far exceeded, like, everybody's email. That girl was like relentless. She was making sure she was going to have enough choices to get into college, and she did. And I had one more really good story on this. His name was Eli Krause. He ended up getting drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals and played in their minor league system for a couple of years. But he was another one that was just absolutely relentless, like of just sending email after email. They didn't really have any of these companies like that could do things like College Bound Jocks and others, and so I guess he was sending his emails to like Kent, and that's why I was talking about like just keep sending them even to the same schools, even if they don't catch up to you, because a lot of times they'll either put you to the side, they may look at you later, or they overlook it. That's why you want to keep being relentless on it. Well, I guess he sent this Birkbeck his email every week for, it had to have been 6 months, and finally I get a call from this Birkbeck, and I'm going to say a swear word here, but he's like, hey, he's Bob Beck, this is Coach Birkbeck. He's like, who the fuck is Eli Krause? Like, guys from Kent, and I kind of went over, and he was like, I love the kid, like we're going to give him a call, and he ended up getting as close to a full ride as you could get in baseball. But again, like Eli was always like, they're not calling me. What am I going to do? Like, they're not getting in touch with me. I was like, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, I did this with my kid. My kid played at Ohio University, and we sat on 2 different sides of computers, and he wrote his letter, and I would help him email these things out. Like, he was another one, just relentless with his emails, until finally the process caught up with him, and he started, the bait was caught by a couple of schools. The next thing you know, the recruiting process is real for them, but it does get tedious, and you gotta be able to endure it. But again, it all just goes back to how bad do you want to play college ball. Like, it's a great dream, but it's a full-time job. Like, especially if you're D1 players, it's a full-time job. You're doing weights 5:36 in the morning. You're doing your classes from 8 to noon. And you're going and you're doing a study table. Then you got practice for 3-4 hours, and you go back to another study table. Eat, study a little bit more. You go to bed back at midnight. You get up 5.5 hours later. You do it all over again. That's D1. I mean, it's obviously not that taxing down at D2, D3. But it's still, you got to be able to sacrifice, your social life a little bit if you're going to play in this sport, because, when my son was being recruited by Toledo as well, we were in the locker room, and a parent, they showed us the state of the art facilities, and a parent was like, Coach, how do you handle playing time? And his name is Corey Mee, and he looks back and goes, how do I handle playing time? I'm going to tell you how I handle playing time. I'm going to tell you, I'm recruiting your son, but guess what? Next year, I'm going to go out and find somebody better than you. So if you want to keep your job, you're going to have to live this thing day by day and keep your job. He's like, nobody's guaranteed anything here with playing time. If you don't fit the bill, you're not playing. That's it. And if you're not good enough, you won't be back the next year. Like brutally honest with them. So I always tell all our parents, please encourage your kids to earn every bit of they get, earn their playing time. Earn everything. Like, yes, this is expensive, but this is not pay to play. You go in and you earn your time. If you have a good coach, they're gonna, the coaches play favorites. They play favorites with players who work the hardest, who are the best teammates. We don't have any daddy ball, mommy ball coaches in our organization, even the ones that are parent coaches. Everything is earned here, and that should be the goal. That should be the message we should be driving home to our kids. Like I did it with mine, and my parents did it with me, and that's just teaches them accountability and go. Because I think everybody in here is a college level player. If you want to be, there's room for you. You just got to be diligent. You got to go find it. You got to take what you want and go get it. That's my ramble.
Hey, just to add to that real quick, Bob, on the email front. I've talked to a ton of college coaches, and as a player, you email them once a week, say, and you think maybe they're not responding. You think you're bugging them. Like, you'll never bug them. They want you to email them like that. Just keep emailing them. Don't stop emailing them. So, at the end of the day, what do you got to lose anyway? Who cares? If they'll tell you straight out, you're not bugging me. Keep emailing me. I'm busy. Sometimes I don't get to it right away. But I'm sure if there are a few coaches out there that you are bugging, then they're not in it for the right reasons or whatever, because you got a girl that's emailing them once a week because she really wants to go to their school. Like, those are the kind of girls that they should want to recruit. So, but yeah, and Bob, we got Ashley and Sarah on here too.
Yep.
So Ashley is my daughter. She went to Ursuline College. Sarah played for me as well about the same time as Ashley. She ended up going. She went to Marietta. Trying to think, was it Franciscan? I believe she started at for 1 year and then went to Marietta. But their recruiting path was just a little bit different because it was, a few years back, and social media wasn't quite as big of a tool back then for recruiting. So love to have them just come on and say a little bit about kind of what their process was, but they can kind of give a little more insight on that process as well.
Shoot.
Either one of you, Ash or Sarah, whoever wants to jump on first.
Can you guys see me? Yes. Okay. So yeah, mine was a little bit different, obviously, since I've been out of college now for a couple years. But when I first was going into college, a lot of my recruiting was done by sending emails and going to a lot of camps that had a lot of different coaches from different divisions. And I would say something really important that I didn't understand at the time, but obviously as I got older and went to more camps, it clicked a little bit more, was definitely when you're at camps and at the end of them, just making sure that you're always going over to especially the coaches you're interested in and saying thank you, thank you for the camp. It was a awesome camp. Thank you for all of the instruction you gave me. And then also you can ask them for numbers on different things that you did. So that was something big for me, especially with running. I always wanted to make sure I was getting faster. I always want to make sure I was swinging harder. And they always did exit velos and timing running and all kinds of different things regarding with that. So I would definitely say never be afraid after a camp to ask them for those numbers. Because that's obviously, again, going to help you compare okay, so this is what I'm at, and I obviously want to get better at each number. So that's definitely something I would focus on. Other than that, along with the email, definitely emailing every week. And then once you really hone in on a school you would like to go to personally, just really be honest with them. Because when I was getting recruited by Ursuline, the coach called me and, obviously asked me a little bit about my family and everything like that. But then also asked me, like, are you interested in other schools? And like that was a big thing that I was like kind of shocked when she asked me, because I was like, why would she be asking me about other schools? But she was really like personable about like, I want to know like what schools you're looking at and like what your reasoning is for liking those other schools. So I would say one thing is just really being honest with whoever you're talking to about your recruiting process, because once you like really hone in and then like go to the school, you take tours, I did an overnight stay at Ursuline, and obviously I got to meet all the girls, and that was another reason I think that pushed me to go there, is obviously like the teammates were really awesome, and I knew they were still going to be there next year, which was really cool. And getting to play with them obviously was awesome when I got there, but meeting them beforehand and kind of seeing what a daily schedule looks like for softball. Like I actually got to go to some of their workouts and some of their practices, and just really like see what I like about the school or what I don't like about the school. And I think that was good too, because then you can weigh out the pros and the cons of like things you like and things maybe you're like, I'm not sure if I'd like that if I went there. So I think that was a really good experience, getting to do an overnight, and then also just in general talking to some of the girls on the team about like a day in the life of softball. And then again, just along with that, with like the recruiting side and going to tournaments and making sure you get your schedules out, that's super, super important, especially schools that you really, really like, making sure they know your schedule. If it's a time where they can't talk, still just like giving them a wave. You don't have to say anything, but giving them like a head nod, make sure you guys, you acknowledge that they're there. You acknowledge that as like a thank you for coming. And then obviously if you can talk to them, then definitely having a conversation with them and making sure that everything that you already, you put in all that work already to get recruited. So just make sure you really, push yourself and don't be shy to talk to coaches, because that's something that was kind of hard for me. Again, at the beginning, I was really shy of talking to coaches, but I got out of my shell, and it was a lot easier when you can talk to them about things other than softball as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Keating. I'm with Ashley and Rich at the 16U team, and I very much had a similar recruiting process to Ashley. I had two different recruiting processes because I did transfer halfway through my college career, but they were very similar in many different ways. So my first one, I was still in high school, sending a ton of emails, going through camps, everything like that. I was also as it's been said, that Twitter or X was not as popular as it was or is now when me and Ashley were playing. So making sure we got our emails out, sending our schedules, putting everything into play that to get the college coaches wanting to come out and play or see you and everything. One thing that I really did learn too is that being very personable in your emails is huge, because college coaches do talk with each other. They're very good friends most of the time, especially within conferences. So if you're sending the same basic email to 7 different coaches, they're probably going to talk and say, hey, this is just a mass email, or they just send the same template and change the name and everything like that. So that was a really big thing of making sure you're putting in something in the email that you like about the school or you like about the program and anything like that. Another big thing is, especially when you're going on these overnight trips or you're going to stay overnight at the camps, is that the coaches the very next day, most of the time as you are packing up and leaving and heading home with your family, they're going to go straight to those girls you stayed with and say, hey, how did she do? How did she act? Was she doing stuff she wasn't supposed to? Or was she on her phone the entire time and stuff? And that's huge, especially because you're wanting to get to know these girls. And while the girls at the school might not be recruiting you, they are very close with the coaches, and they very much will talk with them as always and have a good conversation with the coaches. So you want to act just as if you would with a coach standing there around you, with the girls right there with you as well. My second recruiting process was a little bit different as I was in college. I was 2.5 years into college at that point, and I had decided to transfer. I by no means regretted my first school. I loved it there for many reasons, but I had made the decision to enter the transfer portal, which was a little bit different for me because at that point I was 2.5 years in. I knew that I didn't want to go to college forever. I wanted to graduate, and that was something that, especially as you're in high school and potentially in college and transferring, having so many credits, because you have to make sure that your credits are accepted at the schools that you're wanting to go to, because you didn't work all that time for nothing. You want to make sure that they go where you're supposed to and where towards your degree, which is huge. And then, especially as my second recruiting when I transferred, something that was again really big is that reaching out to coaches. They know you're in college, they know you can make that, but proving that you are wanting to transfer and everything like that is really big.
Communication is key, yes, for sure. If anybody has questions, let's just do it this way. Like, put them in the chat. Like, just you put them in the chat, and then we can answer those there. And if you have questions that you'd rather like ask in private, then you can ask me or Rich or your coach Kelly, whoever. What I would like to see from our. Oh, sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think just kind of, to go off of what Ashley and Sarah's experience was, like they both said, Twitter wasn't as big then, but, now it is. So, I mean, use every tool you have right now, to your advantage. I mean, build connections, network. I think anything you can do to get your name out there. Obviously, any girl that is trying to get recruited, with me being the recruiting coordinator, I'm going to help you as much as I can. I think, like Bob said, it's probably, I don't know. I mean, we haven't made this mandatory in the past, but, CC your head coach or myself as the recruiting coordinator in your emails. So we're kind of in the loop of what's going on. I know, like with my team, I have a pretty good idea of, what schools a lot of the girls are looking at, but I'm not as in touch with all the teams. So, I may not know, who girls are looking at. And, obviously, like say with Hobbs' team or Tony's team, they're going to help their girls as much as they can too. But I'm willing to help. I think we're all willing to help each other. So just kind of keep everybody in the loop and use all your connections, all your tools.
Yeah, we'll meet with our coaches again like real soon just about that, because I'm saying I'm feeling it should be mandatory to anyone who is sending emails if they want our help, because if we don't know, we don't know. So it's and I definitely I definitely would rather not be blindsided by a coach saying, hey, so and so emailed me, what's up with that. I'm maybe like, I didn't even know she was emailing you, like just makes us look kind of silly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions right now, like in the chat? Like in the chat, there's a chat up at the top bar. And we'll give that a little bit here, and then if not, no worries. We can always talk to our coaches. I am highly recommending that players like start making out their college wish list for education and softball like as soon as possible, and get them to Coach Rich, get them to Coach Tony, get them to Coach Hav. If you want my input, from what I've seen minimum on some of the teams of players who are new this year. But I'll always give my honest feedback from what I see at practice. Because it's not hard to see who can play. It's not hard to see who works. And I'm always like, I'm very honest and transparent, like with this program. And I just say, like, if you ask me an honest question, then just be prepared for like an honest answer, and that's in a good way, and sometimes not such a good way if it's not what you want to hear. But I know Kelly's the same way. Just we all want to be honest with each other. I always want honest feedback from people about like things that I'm doing. I want to get better too. As a coach, I tell everybody, my players, I want, if you got to work your ass off to get better. As a coach, I have to be doing the same. I have to, be able to make sure that I'm also at my best and doing my best to help the players and the parents in our program, get their questions answered and help the girls achieve their goals. Because you only, like Grace said, you get one shot at it, and the window is small. But the opportunities are there if you're willing to put in the work, and that's the key is the work, because it's a lot of work.
One thing you'll hear me say a lot, and I'm always big on this. It's like, at the end of the day, you'll hear me say trust the process, and Grace knows I say it all the time. Like you guys have, the players have worked so hard at this for a long time. I mean, it's not, it shouldn't be. I know it is stressful, but don't put extra stress on yourself. Like if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're putting in the work. You have that drive and dedication to the game. You're gonna make it. Like you're gonna land somewhere. Just trust that process and just keep working. That's all you can do. It's stressing out too much isn't gonna help it either.
Well, I haven't seen any questions so far, so I guess we all did our jobs today. We'll continue the dialogue, putting things in the recruiting chat. If you're not in the recruiting chat, get with your coach and get in it, because there's a lot of good information being put in there, and we'll continue that. As we move forward here through the winter, we'll definitely have another one of these, like maybe like a little more than halfway through the practice season going into high school, because once mid or third week of February rolls around, we can't really do much with our girls, nothing with the team, but we still definitely want to be able to continue the dialogue and keep track of what you do in high school, and make sure you're getting ready for your summer, because that's where your recruiting is going to happen.
You see the ESPN app to ESPN Bet.
All right, are we all good?
Yeah. Thank you to everybody that jumped on. Appreciate it, Grace, Ashley, Sarah. For talking, you guys jumping on here.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your time. All right, I'm going to sign it off, and we'll talk soon.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.